Here are the top stories for today, May 11, 2020. Metro Manila mayors propose new quarantine options as the enhanced community quarantine ends on May 15. The PCOO says the communist movement is exploiting the ABS-CBN franchise issue to divide Filipinos amid the fight against COVID-19. The Bangsamoro region asks for help in investigating anomalies in the distribution of cash aid. And bicycle shop owners in Albay lend their bikes to be used as transport for frontliners. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Metro Manila mayors have recommended 3 quarantine options as the enhanced community quarantine is set to end on May 15. In a virtual council meeting on Saturday, MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia Jr. said one of the options of the Metro Manila Council is the extension of the ECQ for another 2 weeks. The council also recommended the shift from ECQ to GCQ and a modified community quarantine, which is a combination of the ECQ and GCQ in certain areas. Local chief executive suggested the modified community quarantine due to the interconnectivity of the cities and varying situations in Metro Manila. The quarantine options will be presented to the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, stressing that there is no perfect solution, but there must be a balance of economic and health issues. Families of overseas Filipinos in distress are among the target beneficiaries of the Social Amelioration Program. Under the department's omnibus guidelines in the implementation of the Social Amelioration Program, overseas Filipinos are considered vulnerable members of the community and are among the most affected by the enhanced community quarantine. They are those who were repatriated or who have no income or remittance due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some were banned from traveling outside the Philippines or stranded until the lifting of the community quarantine. The DSWD said families with overseas Filipinos who have no other source of income since January until the lifting of the community quarantine will qualify under the SAP. Overseas Filipinos may get in touch with their respective local government units or barangay officers through on-demand requests, which will then be assessed at the barangay level. The Philippine National Police will intensify police visibility as more areas under ECQ are expected to be relegated to GCQ after May 15. Joint Task Force COVID Shield Commander Lieutenant General Guillermo Eliazar on Sunday said the increased presence of police personnel aims to thwart criminal threats that are expected to surge under new normal or less stringent GCQ. While the quarantine control points and dedicated control points will remain under GCQ, Eliazar said the PNP would likely ease the strict measure since doing so would cause monstrous traffic jams. What would be intensified are mobile checkpoints and random checking of private vehicles. Policemen and soldiers who would be tapped for visibility will also be on the lookout for criminal elements. Meanwhile, NCRPO Chief Major General Debold Sina said about 100 cops will be deployed once the LRT and MRT resume operations. Sina said PNP desks will also be set up in bus and jeepney terminals to assist the commuters. Measures are in place to ensure that Balik Provincia program will be implemented with ease in different provinces in the country. Marita Moahe tells us more.
Qualified beneficiaries of the Balik Provincia Bagong Pag-asa program may be given housing units. The Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development said those who decide to return back to their provinces are possible recipients of housing units, as there are still unoccupied and unawarded housing units from NHA. The available units nationwide were originally intended for members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. In Mindanao, 3 towns have already committed to join in the Balik Probinsya Balik Pag-asa program. Mindanao Development Authority Secretary Emmanuel Peñol said Kauswagan Town in Lanao del Norte, Balay-Balay City in Bukidnon, and Emlang Municipality in North Cotabato have committed to adopt the program. Peñol said Minda will start engaging the 4 LGUs to lay the groundwork for the implementation of the project next week. Meanwhile, 3 more provinces have already signified readiness for the pilot testing of the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program. These are the provinces of Leyte, Zamboanga del Norte, and Camarines Sur. Senator Christopher Lawrence Go said the DSWD has already identified around 3,000 persons who meet the basic criteria of the Balik Probinsya program. The agency will also be assisting workers stranded in Metro Manila for their return to their home provinces. Go said basic protocols like necessary quarantine measures, COVID-19 testing, and health certifications before travel are being readied to ensure that their travel is safe and would not result in the spread of COVID-19. Go said the Department of Labor and Employment will aid grantees through the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged or Displaced Workers Program and a government internship program to help those who have lost their jobs upon their return to their provinces. DOLE will also be holding job fairs to match applicants with potential employers. DTI will continue generating businesses and employment opportunities in the countryside, while the NHA and the Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development will soon be working out a housing development plan to create affordable housing for the beneficiaries. The Balik Probinsya is being prioritized after President Duterte signed Executive Order 114 institutionalizing the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program as a pillar of balanced regional development. Those who wish to avail of the program may already apply online through the official website of the program. For the PNA Newsroom, Marita Muahe.
Still to come, the PCOO says the communist movement is exploiting the ABS-CBN franchise issue to divide Filipinos amid the fight against COVID-19. The Bangsamoro region asked for help in investigating anomalies in the distribution of cash aid. More on this when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Wala ka mang lagnat, walang ubo, maaaring nahawaan ka. At bawal manghawa. Yung sinundan mo sa pila, yung binilhan mo, binigyan mo ng pera, tinabihan mo, kinausap mo, nahawaan mo na. May natanungan ka, best friend mo, nanay mo, hindi ka man tablan, superman ka man, hindi sila. Bawal manghawa. Ang sumpa ng COVID-19 kay daling ikalat. Sa bawat labas mo sa bahay, maaaring may mawala ng buhay. Wala ka mang ramdam na sakit, maaaring nahawaan ka. Bawal manghawa.
A PCOO official alleges that the CPP-NPA-NDF is using the franchise issue of ABS-CBN as a chance to divide Filipinos for their own interest. PCOO Undersecretary Lorraine Marie Badoy said the ABS-CBN franchise issue has clearly become an issue of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, owing to the communist exploitation for their own interest. Speaking for the NTF-LCAC, Badoy says they are fully cognizant about how the terrorist CPP-NPA-NDF exploits the ABS-CBN closure and views it as an opportunity to sow chaos and division. Badoy said the CPP-NPA-NDF and its legal fronts will stop at nothing to divide the Filipino people to reach its end goal of overthrowing the government. Bayan Muna Party List Representative Ferdinand Gaite earlier accused the NTF-LCAC for meddling with the ABS-CBN franchise issue by spreading disinformation, fake news to advance its sinister agenda. Gaite said he found it quite ironic that the government has mobilized a militarist body to double down on the attack against ABS-CBN and still use the hashtag Press Freedom is Alive. PCOO Facebook page earlier shared a post from the NTF-LCAC page which published infographics that held the network responsible for the expiration of its broadcast permit. As of this posting, the infographics was already taken down. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar and Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque said the earlier NTF-LCAC statement is not an official stance of the PCOO and the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson. Meanwhile, a House panel ordered executives of the National Telecommunications Commission, or NTC, to explain why they should not be cited in contempt for issuing a cease and desist order to halt the media giant's broadcast operations. Signed by House Legislative Franchise Panel Chairperson Franz Alvarez, the order compels NTC to reply within 72 hours from its receipt of the letter. The NTC, in the March 10 hearing, has assured the lower house that it would grant ABS-CBN a provisional authority to operate as the bills seeking to renew its franchise were being deliberated. In our business news, DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez commended the National Committee on Intellectual Property Rights for the Philippines' 7-year exclusion from the United States Trade Representative's Counterfeiting and Piracy Watch List. This, he said, is a positive positioning that helps ensure the country's continued enjoyment of the U.S. preferential trade program and further bilateral dialogue on a long-sought free trade deal. Lopez on Sunday thanked several departments and agencies for their unwavering dedication in the fight against counterfeits and piracy. He also lauded the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines for steering the monthly meetings to ensure harmony in the implementation of existing policies. The trade chief expressed hopes that the country's good standing for 7 straight years report will reinvigorate discussions on a possible free trade agreement with the United States. It also boosts DTI's confidence for the Philippines to continue exporting over 5,000 products to the U.S. at zero tariff. The Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao has asked the help of National Bureau of Investigation to look into complaints of anomalies involving elected local officials and civil servants in the distribution of the Social Amelioration Program Cash Aid in the region. Lawyer Nagib Sinarimbo, Minister of the Ministry of the Interior and Local Government, said some local village officials in cahoots with the social workers have been cutting the SAP aid intended for the poor affected by the COVID-19 crisis. Complaints involved mostly barangay officials who demanded cuts from the 5,000 peso amelioration fund given to indigents across the region. Meanwhile, the police's Criminal Investigation and Detection Group has also started accepting complaints of anomalies in the SAP distribution. Those who have complaints may send the information to their office through their text hotline. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier offered a 30,000 peso reward for anyone who can provide proof that corrupt officials dipped their fingers in the SAP distribution. A major university has announced it will open its campuses in July while implementing flexible learning arrangements as part of the new normal resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
In keeping with the culture of new normal as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, the Jesuit-run Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, is set to open its grade school, junior and senior high school, and college campuses in July. For school year 2020 to 2021, the school will be adopting flexible learning arrangements consisting of home-based and cautious return to on-campus learning components. To prepare for cautious return to on-campus learning, Xavier University will be making the necessary and critical infrastructure adjustments to ensure all 4 of the school's campuses remain safe in preparation for the time when some form of on-site education can already happen. Meanwhile, education officials in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao are keen on carrying out the distance education program or online learning for the school year 2020-2021. The Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education said deputy officials underscored the learning continuity plan, one of the alternative education methods designed for every student, including those coming from the rural areas. The committee is pushing forward to make class files downloadable or ready to print for the students. The LCP survey was conducted in Maguindanao, followed soon by other BARRM province components of Lanao do Sur, Basilan, Sulu, and Tawi-Tawi. In Baguio City, the City Council has asked the government through a resolution to help provide financial aid to learning institutions affected by the indefinite suspension of classes due to the pandemic. This as some 15 private schools face closure due to financial burden brought about by the unfinished school year and non-collection of tuition. The City Council resolution also noted calls from parents asking for refunds due to the non-completion of the school year. For its part, the Baguio City Association of Private School Administrators asked for understanding as they cannot give refunds as it may lead to the closure of schools and loss of jobs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfa.
Up next, overseas Filipino workers undergo swab testing for COVID-19 infection. And bicycle shop owners in Albay lend their bikes to be used as transport for frontliners. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Kakagaling ko lang ng grocery. Siyempre, hindi ko hahayaan na pumasok ang COVID-19 sa bahay at mapahamak ang pamilya ko. Kaya iiwan ko ang sapatos ko sa labas. At ngayon, maghuhugas ako ng kamay ng 20 seconds. O ayan, wala na ang virus. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin na nakasalalay. Let's heal as one.
Alam niyo ba na pumapasok ang COVID-19 sa ating katawan sa pamamagitan ng mata, ilong at bibig? Kaya lagi kaming conscious dito sa bahay kapag umuubo kami. Lagi kami naghuhugas ng kamay in 20 seconds. Pag lumalabas kami, lagi namin suot ang mask. Lagi lang natin tatandaan mga mamshi. Buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's heal as one.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Hundreds of overseas Filipino workers lined up for COVID-19 testing Sunday at the Palacio de Maynila Mega Swabbing Center along Rojas Boulevard. They arrived aboard buses provided by Overseas Workers Welfare Administration to be tested by the medical team of the Philippine Coast Guard and the Bureau of Fire Protection. The Palacio de Maynila swabbing facility started operations on Thursday. In a statement, National Policy Against COVID-19 Deputy Chief Implementer Secretary Vince Dizon said the government plans to increase the number of testing laboratories to a total of 78 by the end of the month. This will increase the country's testing capacity up to 30,000 daily tests by the end of May. Dizon added the immediate goal in the next few days is to swab up to 25,000 seafarers and land-based OFWs, as well as overseas Filipinos. The other mega swabbing centers are in the Ediran Tent in Taguig City, Mall of Asia Arena in Pasay City, and the Philippine Sports Stadium at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. The Department of Science and Technology is planning to include more centers in the community-based study on the effectiveness of virgin coconut oil on COVID-19 patients. DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña said 7 patients have enrolled in the trial, and he is confident that more would join the study in the next coming days. The Santa Rosa Community Hospital in Laguna is already participating in the study, which may require 90 participants. De la Peña said the study would take about a month, during which VCO would be incorporated in the food provided to the patients, as well as people they have contact with and other high-risk groups. Apart from the community-based study, the DOST is also set to conduct a hospital-based clinical trial to assess the possible benefits of VCO if given to patients with moderate to severe COVID-19. The City Council of Baguio has approved an ordinance that requires people to always observe social distancing. Physical distancing will be practiced by all people in workplaces, business establishments, crowd-drawing events, activities that entail queuing for formation of a line, and in public utility and transport network vehicles. Passenger motorcycles or angkas are prohibited under the ordinance in compliance with the physical distancing policy. Under the ordinance, violators will be fined 500 pesos for the first offense, 1,000 for the second offense, and 3,000 for the third offense. Public utility vehicle drivers and operators and persons in charge of government and private establishments will also ensure that physical distancing is applied under their supervision. Meanwhile, the Cebu City Hall has converted 19 school buildings into barangay isolation centers for asymptomatic patients, as COVID-19 cases almost hit 1,500 as of Friday. About 1,000 beds are now being used in different centers that have become operational. They were open for residents listed as COVID-19 positive, but have not manifested any influenza-like illnesses such as fever, dry cough, runny nose, among others. The Cebu City Hall has installed a 236-bed capacity center in different schools in the upland villages to accommodate the detainees released from the Cebu City Jail, but are ordered to be placed under the imposed 14-day quarantine. A bicycle shop owner has lent 2 mountain bikes to the police station in OAS town, Albay, to be used for free by cops serving as frontliners during the COVID-19 crisis. The shop owner is the first from the private sector to respond to the Provincial Police Office's Albay Bayanihan ng Kasurog Lend a Ride Against COVID-19 project. Albay Police spokesperson Captain Dexter Panganiban said local government units are to provide shuttle vehicles to frontliners, while bicycle and motorcycle shop owners will let frontliners use their bikes, motorcycles, or e-vehicles for free. Once the quarantine is lifted, the bikes and other vehicles will be returned to the shop owners, who may then opt to sell them to the frontliners and other members of the community at a discounted price. In Bakakay Town, the LGU provides shuttle services to its medical frontliners. In Legazpi City, the local government has provided 2 vans for the transport of medical frontliners to and from health facilities. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. Metro Manila mayors propose new quarantine options as the enhanced community quarantine ends on May 15. The PCOO says the communist movement is exploiting the ABS-CBN franchise issue to divide Filipinos amid the fight against COVID-19. The Bangsamoro region asks for help in investigating anomalies in the distribution of cash aid. And bicycle shop owners in Albay lend their bikes to be used as transport for frontliners. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, check our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day. Stay at home.